Move along.
It's a bad business.
Hello, stranger. You must be hungry and thirsty. Perhaps I can interest you in my wares.
I was actually on my way to see the paladins.
There's little chance of that. Since the paladins made themselves at home in the upper end of town, hardly anyone gets in there anymore.
Can you help me get into the upper quarter?
Me? Nah, I don't have much say here myself. There are a few people in the lower city who have enough influence to get you past the guards. Mateo, my boss, is one of them. Maybe you should talk to him.
Where can I find Mateo?
You're standing right outside his shop. Just go on in. He's practically always there.
What about the other influential citizens?
The merchants and master craftsmen here on the main street are the most important figures in the city. You should try to get accepted by one of them as an apprentice like me. Since I started working for Mateo, the people in the city treat me with respect.
He never would have thought of that.
I need some money, and I'm looking for work.
I've heard that Bosper has trouble with his suppliers. His shop is right over there. They say he pays pretty well.
What do you have to offer?
At the moment, I don't have much choice. The damned landowner doesn't deliver anymore. And what we get from the small farms isn't enough to meet the demands of the city.
Tell me more about the peasants' revolt.
It's quite simple. NotR, the fat landowner, won't pay any more taxes to the city. Imagine, we're at war with the orcs, and that fat slob wants everything for himself. Normally, the city guard would take firm measures in such cases. But now comes the best part. They say NotR has hired mercenaries to keep the troops from the city off his back. Mercenaries. The whole thing will end in a damn war, as if one war weren't enough.
What do you know about NotR's mercenaries?
I heard that most of them are former convicts from the mining colony, and their leader's supposed to have been a big shot with the king, a general or something, whom they put away as a traitor. These are terrible times.
Show me your wares.
He never would have thought of that himself.
I don't know why he gets so worked up.
You listen to the wrong people.
I've got my own opinion about that.
That's been known a long time.
That was quite obvious.
That doesn't surprise me.
So why won't they listen to me?
That's really not my problem.
You mustn't believe everything you hear.
That's really not my problem.
I'm in enough trouble as it is.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Show me your...
I'm not touching that.
I never knew that.
It was just like you said. That was quite obvious.
Do you really believe that?
What can I do for you?
What are you selling?
I can offer you everything you need to survive in the wild. Weapons, torches, provisions, even armor. I still have a special piece in stock. Double hardened armor of snapper leather, still unused. Interested?
What do you know about paladins?
Since these bastards have come to the city, I've had nothing but trouble. The last time I was headed for the upper end of town, the guards flat out stopped me and asked me what was my business there.
And?
Of course they let me in. I had my shop in the city when most of those pompous asses were still chasing pigs with wooden swords. And yesterday, the bastards came and confiscated half of my goods.
The paladins seized your goods?
Everything I had stored in the backyard. They simply posted a guard in front of the entrance to the yard. If I'm lucky, they won't take everything. At least they might leave the armor here.
Can you help me get into the upper quarter?
What? What are you going to do there?
I've got an important message.
Well, well. Have you tried getting past the guards?
I don't see why I should even try.
You're probably right. I don't know how important your message is, and it's none of my business. But even if you told them that a ship full of orcs just anchored in the harbor, they'd send you away, because they have their orders.
So can you help me get into the upper quarter?
It seems to be really important to you. The question is, how important is it to you?
What are you getting at?
I can help you. After all, I'm one of the most influential people here, but it'll cost you.
What are you asking for your help?
100 gold pieces.
You shark.
Take it easy. It isn't your gold I have in mind.
But
In principle, it's my gold. Greta, the carpenter's niece, hasn't paid what she owes me in ages. But the little brat is constantly running around in new clothes. That means she has the money. I'd like to beat it out of her. But Master Thorben, the carpenter, is also a very influential man. Get me the money and I'll help you.
where can I find this Greta?
Like I said, she's the carpenter's niece. His house is down the street, the last house on the right before the smithy.
How exactly can you help me?
Quite simple. I'll use my influence to see to it that one of the master craftsmen here takes you on as an apprentice. As such, you'll practically be a citizen of the city and can enter the upper quarter. Besides which, you'll earn something while you're at it.
Where could I sign on as an apprentice then?
Basically, with any master here on the main street. That would be Harrod the smith, Bospa the bowmaker, Thorben the carpenter, or Constantino the alchemist. One of them is bound to take you on. But it's important that the other masters agree. That's always been the custom here in Corinus.
Why don't you take me on as an apprentice?
I would, but the other masters wouldn't agree. I just recently took on another apprentice.
How do I get the approval of the other masters?
You just have to convince them. Go and talk to them. But if more than one of them is against you, you don't stand a chance, so behave yourself.
Is there another way to get into the upper quarter?
Perhaps. If I think of anything, I'll let you know.
Show me your wares.
Nobody will learn anything from me.
I don't believe that.
I'm not
Hey, you, wait. You look familiar to me.
What do you want?
I've seen your face before somewhere, right?
That's been known a long time.
Here. We found this picture on some bandits we picked up a few days ago. It looks a lot like you. Apparently, those guys were looking for you.
That's been known a long time.
Gee, I'd never have thought of that myself.
Like this forever.
Very funny. What did those guys want from
Really
you?
believe that.
Ask them yourself. You've got them safely locked up, haven't you?
Trouble as it is.
No, they're dead.
I guess we'll never know
Nobody will
then.
learn
If you're in
anything
some
from me.
kind of trouble, go talk to Lord Andre. Maybe he can help you. You'll find him in the barracks.
I never knew that.
Nobody ever asked for my opinion.
That's all just
But
gossip.
the light was a torment for Belial. All
Can't
that
go
in
on
us
this forever.
created was destroyed by Belial.
I know nothing about picking locks.
So why won't they listen to me?
Adonai saw that this
Hey,
What do you want, stranger? If you've come to beg, I must disappoint you. I am a poor widow. My name is Greta. Ever since my husband died, I have been running the household for my uncle Thorben.
Matteo sent me. You still owe him some gold.
He wants his money? What for? The goods he delivered were flawed, bad fabric, and bad seams. And did you look at the colors? Those are not the colors I ordered. That's fraud, that is. Let me tell you, back when my husband was alive, he wouldn't have dared to do that. Oh, my poor husband.
Cut it out. Where's the gold?
But I don't have the gold. I'm only a poor widow.
I'm gonna pay the sum for you.
You would do that for me? Oh, I knew you weren't a greedy bastard like that Matteo.
Yeah, never mind.
Come back once you've taken care of that. I want to show you my gratitude.
How's it going?
Same as always, but I don't want to complain.
No, he insisted he knew better.
Adonai was pleased with what happened.
Don't say you didn't know that. Nobody ever asked for my opinion.
Here's your 100 gold pieces.
You want to pay for her? I'd have preferred it if you'd squeezed it out of her. Still, 100 gold pieces is 100 gold pieces. You've held up your part of the deal.
Help me sign on as an apprentice with one of the masters.
Don't worry. I'll keep my part of the bargain. The other masters will only hear the best about you from me.
Will it ever change?
Ah, fresh face. You're not from Corinus, are you? This is not a good time for travelers. Bandits everywhere, no work, and now the farmers have risen up too. What winds have blown you here?
I'm looking for work.
Do you know anything about carpentry?
The only thing I can make out of wood is a fire.
And what about locks?
Well...
I'm sorry, but I can't use you if you know nothing about my trade. And I have no money to pay for an apprentice.
So, you know a lot about locks.
What good is a fine chest without a fine lock? I make my own locks. That way, I can at least be sure I haven't built my chest that sturdy for nothing. A poorly made lock is easy to break. And there are plenty of thieves about in Corinus, especially lately.
Enough trouble as it is. That's all just gossip.
Have you had an apprentice before?
Yes, and not too long ago.
And what happened?
His name is Elvrich. He's my nephew. I was quite pleased with him, actually, but one day he simply didn't show up for work.
Where is Elvrich now?
How would I know? He kept hanging around that filthy brothel by the harbor. I wouldn't be surprised if he's still warming the bed of some whore down there.
How long has it been since you saw him?
I guess it must be about 2 weeks.
Have you reported that to the militia?
Of course I have. They were supposed to catch him and see to it that the lazy bones does his work. But I already regret that. He can do whatever he wants. Sooner or later he'll realize he'll get nowhere in Corinus without a decent job.
Is that so? What if I want to start an apprenticeship with one of the other masters here?
All right, I shall give you my approval. But you had better get yourself the blessing of the gods first. Say, are you a man of faith?
Yes, a most humble servant, Master Thorben.
Then go to Vatras, the priest of Adanos, and have him give you his blessing. He will tell you where you can find a priest of Innos. You should get his blessing too. Once you have received the blessing of the gods, I shall vote for you.
Can you teach me how to pick locks?
You have paid Gritta's debt with Matteo. You seem to be a decent fellow. I shall teach you what you want to know. However, I cannot do it for free. I still have a mountain of debts, and I need the money.
How much do you charge?
200 gold pieces.
I agree with you completely.
Fine, here are 200 gold pieces.
This money will really help me. We can start as soon as you're ready.
What do you know about the paladins?
Not much. They arrived by ship 2 weeks ago from the mainland. Since then, they have withdrawn to the upper end of town. Nobody here really knows exactly why they have come. Many are afraid of an attack by the orcs. I suppose, however, that they are here to quell the farmers' rebellion.
Do you know anything about the peasants' rebellion?
Rumor has it that NotR, the landowner, has hired mercenaries to keep the king's troops from breathing down his neck. He was probably tired of having to throw his harvest along with his livestock at paladins and militia. All we notice of this in town is that the food prices keep rising. NotR's farm lies far to the east of here. We wouldn't know if there's any fighting going on there. And if you want to know more, ask the merchants in the marketplace. They get around the island more than I do.
Don't tell me you didn't know that.
But Enos beheld what Beliar had done. Adanos be with you.
Who are you?
I am Vatras, a servant of Adanos, the guardian of the divine and earthly equilibrium. What can I do for you?
Tell me about the Ring of Water.
And why would I do that?
Cavalorn sent me to you.
And what did he tell you?
He said you're in dire need of more good people.
Aha. So, you want to join us, son?
Here, I've got a letter for you.
For me? Indeed. This is an important message you're bringing me. I wonder how you got hold of this letter.
I got it from Cavalorn, the hunter.
Cavalorn? Where is he?
He told me to tell you he couldn't make it and is headed for the meeting point, whatever he meant by that.
I see that you have gained Cavalorn's trust. That speaks in your favor.
Tell me about the Ring of Water.
And why would I do that?
I want to join the Ring of Water.
You do? Well, that means you have already fulfilled the first requirement.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, there must be someone among us who trusts you. Otherwise, you wouldn't even know about it. But I know nothing about you at all.
What do you want to know?
Well, you could tell me where you come from and why you have come to the city.
I carry an important message for the leader of the Paladins.
What is this message?
A large army is gathering as we talk, led by dragons and determined to conquer the country.
Dragons? You speak of beings which until now have only been mentioned in legends. How do you know this?
Zardas, the magician, told me. He sent me to warn the Paladins.
The necromancer? So he lives, and he sent you. Who are you really?
I'm a former convict from the penal colony of Corinus.
Good. Let us summarize. You are a former prisoner who has been told by Zardas, the necromancer, that dragons have come to conquer the country. And you have come to report this to the Paladins. That all sounds rather fantastic, but I cannot perceive that you are lying to me. Therefore, I must assume that your motives are honorable. I want to give you a chance to join the Ring of Water.
What must I do in order to join the ring?
Know that you take on great responsibility by joining the ring. I do not let just anyone join who comes to us and asks. If you want to join the ring, you will have to prove that you act like one of us.
And that means...
Before we let a young man join our ranks, he must have done a great deed for the ring. Only then can I begin to consider letting you help preserve the balance of forces on this island.
I have vanquished the Sleeper. Isn't that a great enough deed?
My ears hear many a tale these days, including the story about the banning of the beast called the Sleeper. I have not heard that this was achieved by a single man, although your eyes tell me that you are convinced you did this. That confuses me slightly, but I cannot be sure that my senses might not deceive me sometimes.
So what would be an appropriate deed that might convince you?
Corinus is facing a great enigma these days. The number of people missing from the town seems to increase almost daily. If you can explain to me what happened to them, you shall have your place within the Ring of Water. However...
Yes?
You should take your message to the Paladins first. I consider it a matter of utmost importance. Talk to Lord Hagen.
But Lord Hagen is not going to receive me.
Yes, he will, no doubt about it, provided you become a member of a powerful community first. The ring has far-reaching connections. We shall assist you in conveying your message as soon as possible. You should talk about this to Laris, whom I trust. He will help you.
What community should I join?
There are only 3 communities that have enough influence. These are the City Militia, the Monastery of the Fire Magicians, and the troop of mercenaries on the landowner's farm. The choice is yours, son. Laris can certainly assist you with this difficult decision. Talk to him about it.
I shall do that. I've got this stone tablet. Can you tell me more about it?
Those are artifacts from the old culture, which we have been investigating for some time. There are several kinds of them. Some contain information about the history of the ancient people, and that is the kind I am interested in. Bring me all of those that you can find. I shall give you an appropriate reward.
About those missing people?
Yes?
Where should I start looking for them?
Most of those people disappeared down by the harbor. That's probably where you should start your search.
Let me tell you what I know.
What have you found out?
Nothing important so far. Can you heal me?
Adanos, bless this body. Free it of its wounds and strengthen it with new life.
I'm asking your blessing.
Why should I give you my blessing, stranger?
I want to start an apprenticeship with one of the masters in the lower part of town.
Go with the blessing of Adanos, my son.
Where can I find a priest of Innos?
The best thing would be to look around the marketplace. You will find an emissary of the monastery there. Wait, if you see Laris, give him this ornament and tell him that it needs to be returned. He'll know what to do with it.
Where did you pick that up then?
I couldn't get away with that.
That's an open secret.
What can I do for you? Are you seeking spiritual comfort? Do you want to direct a prayer to our Lord Innos, or donate some gold for his church?
Where do you come from?
I come from the Monastery of the Magicians, which lies in the mountains. We accept everyone there who is pure of heart and feels the desire to serve our almighty Lord Innos.
What are you doing in town?
I have discussions with the paladins and support the citizens with my advice and with helpful words. Particularly in these difficult times, it is our duty to be there for the people and to help the poor.
Tell me more about the monastery.
We instruct our students in all forms of magic, but the arts of the Magicians of Fire consist of more than these alone. We are also well versed in the art of alchemy and in the creation of powerful runes. We also make excellent wine.
Tell me about Innos.
Innos, our almighty Lord, is the light and the fire. He chooses humans to be his tool, giving them magic and laws. We act in his name. We administer justice according to his will and preach his word.
I need to talk to the paladins. Can you help me get to them?
Well, you need access to the upper end of town. However, this is allowed only to citizens and the city guard. And of course, to us, Magicians of Fire.
How can I become a fire magician?
You must join our order as a novice. When you have served for a time, perhaps you will be accepted into the ranks of the magicians. However, the path to acceptance is long and full of work and study.
I've come to get your blessing.
That's good. That's good. Then you will probably want to donate gold to the Holy Church of Innos, won't you?
Actually, I wanted your blessing so I can sign on as an apprentice in the lower part of town.
But my son, without a modest donation to the church, it is impossible for me to bless you. How else can I be certain of your good intentions toward the Holy Church of Innos?
So, how much does a donation usually run to here?
Well, that depends on what percentage you want to give, son. Let me see how much you brought. You have more than 100 gold pieces. The Lord says give if you have. The church accepts your generous donation. I bless you in the name of Innos, for he is light and righteousness.
Forever.
And Beliar spoke to another creature, but Adanos brought forth the tide, and the creature was washed from the face of the earth.
I've heard a thing or two. You didn't get that from me.
I don't believe that.
How about your approval, Master?
Has Vatras given you his blessing?
Yes.
And did you also get the blessing of a priest of Innos?
Yes, I did.
Then you shall have my blessing as well. No matter what path you decide to take pride in doing a good job, my boy.
That's not what my husband does.
New in the city, huh? I'm Brian. I'm Master Harrod's apprentice.
What's it like to be the smith's apprentice?
Why do you ask? You want to be my successor?
Maybe.
Why not? I'm almost done with my apprenticeship, and then I'm gonna leave the city. But not because of Harrod. He is a good master. I have learned a lot from him.
Why do you want to leave this town?
Because the people here are getting on my nerves above all the other masters. I still remember what a fuss it was getting accepted as an apprentice with Harrod. Really, every one of them jokers had something to say about it. I want to decide for myself who I can or can't take as an apprentice.
Who are the other masters?
Well, there's Thorben the carpenter, Bosper the bowmaker, Constantino the alchemist, and Matteo. He sells armor, but first of all, he's a merchant. All the masters have their houses here on the street, and Constantino's shop is in the underpass to the temple.
Tell me more about Master Harrod.
He's not in a very good mood right now. A few days ago, the paladins came and ordered him to forge some swords for them. They've even forbidden him to sell swords to anyone else. Now he slaves day and night to finish the job as quickly as possible.
Can I buy weapons from you?
Not really, I'm merely an assistant. The weapons that are made in this smithy are collected by the militia and taken to the towers where they're stored. But if it has anything to do with forging, maybe I can help you.
What can I get from you?
I can sell you some steel billets.
Hey, you! Do you sell weapons too?
Forget it. Everything I make goes to the paladins or the militia. I have a commission for 100 swords from Lord Hagen. He wants to equip the city guard.
I'm looking for work.
I could use a new apprentice. Brian will have finished his apprenticeship soon, and then he'll leave the city. Are you good for anything?
If you mean, do I know blacksmith's work?
No, that's not what I meant. Sooner or later, the orcs are going to lay siege to the city, and then the only men who will count will be those who are in a position to defend our city. And I won't take on anyone as an apprentice who will disgrace me by fleeing the city with the women and the good-for-nothings, instead of holding the fort here with the men.
I'm not a good-for-nothing.
Those are big words. Can you back them up with big deeds?
What are you getting at?
Bring me an orc's weapon. Orcs have been seen near the city. With a bit of luck, you won't have to search for long. If you manage to bring one down, I'll take you on as an apprentice, provided the other masters agree.
nobody will learn anything from me.
Welcome to my shop, stranger. I am Basper. I craft bows and trade in furs. What brings you to Corinus?
I need to get into the upper quarter.
Where the paladins are? Forget it. You need to be a respected citizen here, or at least hold a decent job. As a stranger, you stand no chance of getting in.
I'm looking for work.
I could use a new apprentice. The last one just gave up his job 2 days ago. Do you know anything about hunting then?
Well...
I could teach you how to skin animals. I'll pay you well for every skin you bring me.
What if I want to sign on with one of the other masters?
Balderdash. Herod and Matteo already have apprentices. Constantino the alchemist is a loner, and he hasn't taken an apprentice in years. And as for Thorben, everyone knows he's dead broke. He probably couldn't even pay you. I, on the other hand, am in urgent need of an apprentice, and I pay well too. But no matter where you want to sign on, you need the approval of all other masters from the lower part of town.
Why did your apprentice give up his job?
All he said was that it had become too dangerous out there. If you're really interested, then you can ask him yourself. His name is Bartok. He's probably hanging out near Corrigan's Tavern. Go through the underpass from the smithy, then you're headed straight for it.
I want to start as your apprentice.
Before I take you on, I need to know, of course, whether you're any good at all.
What do you want me to do for you?
I will teach you how to skin an animal, and you will bring me, let's say, 6 wolf skins. Then I'll know that you have learned your trade. If it doesn't take you forever, and if the skins are in acceptable condition, I will take you on if you like. Or, you can start with one of the other masters, if that's what you really want.
Teach me how to skin animals.
Right. Listen, it's quite easy, really. You take a sharp blade and cut open the animal's belly. Then make a few small incisions on the inside of the legs, and you can peel off the skin. Bring me the wolf skins and we shall see.
It's a bad business.
I'm not touching that.
And so he set himself between his brothers in order to reconcile their dispute.
Hey, you! How's your duty?
Oh, these boys swing their swords like farmers. But when I'm done with them, every single one of them will be a tough, hard bastard.
Can you also train me in sword fighting?
Lord Andre has ordered that we train everyone who is in a position to defend the city. But that's only true for combat training. All other kinds of training are reserved for the militia. Can you at least halfway handle a weapon?
I think so.
All right, you can start when you're ready.
What are the advantages of one- or two-handed weapons?
Quite simple. With a one-handed weapon, you're faster. That can be a considerable advantage in battle. Two-handed weapons are more ponderous. You have to fight with foresight, but you can do a lot more damage when you're hit.
Where should I start, with one-handed or two-handed weapons?
That's entirely up to you. If you specialize in only one type of weapon, you automatically learn the other at the same time. If, for instance, you're good at fighting with one-handed swords, but still a beginner with two-handed weapons, your two-handed skills will go up as well whenever you train with a one-hander. In that case, the training is more exhausting than if you train with both types of weapons. Just start and you'll soon see what I'm talking about.
Let's begin with the training. Hey, you! Let's be...
Those are all just rumors.
Hear ye, inhabitants of Corinus. By the explicit order of the Honorable Lord Hagen, the following decree is hereby enacted. From this moment onward, Lord Andre will take the supreme command of our militia.